Hey, so on May 20th of this year, I recently got a whole bunch of shit for free, and now it is, let's see, Saturday, July 7th at 12:29 in the morning, and now I'm finally talking about all this wonderful things that I got for free. I got this stuff for free from the same person that I, back in August of 2015, got a whole bunch of PS1 and Dreamcast games for free, which I believe I talked about in, I want to say like Gaming Pickups 21 or 22, just one of the early 20s of the Gaming Pickups series, one of those ones. So yeah, same person, just now, well, a whole bunch of stuff, so let's get started. I don't really want to waste any more time. Here we have Donkey Kong on the ColecoVision. Okay, why is it so close? The interesting thing is, I don't have a ColecoVision. I'm not saying, like, I would never get one per se, and that it wouldn't interest me, either a ColecoVision or an Intellivision. It's just that, you know, I think the 2600 for the past 3 years has pretty much filled the gap of any and all second generation gaming needs. So that's why I have not gotten a ColecoVision or Intellivision yet. But in any case, this is still cool to have. Maybe he has a ColecoVision somewhere. I don't know, but yeah. Anyways, let's move on to Super Nintendo games. I'll start off with duplicates, you know, got a whole bunch of Super Nintendo games here. Here we have Super Mario Kart, which, sure, this is in slightly better shape than mine, because it doesn't have, I hope you can see the problem with the labels, like, it doesn't have this right here on the edge. But this is a player's choice copy, which I don't really like that. So, I don't know, but still cool to have. Maybe might get rid of this one, the other one, I don't know. Super Mario World, again, it's a player's choice copy. It also has, of course, the slightly different font compared to, you know, other copies of Super Mario World. I really hope the camera's focusing. But yeah, more duplicates. Another duplicate, F-Zero. Well, actually, this is the copy of F-Zero that was the duplicate. This was the one I bought back in like November or December of 2016. It's just that I'm now use this copy because this one's in slightly better shape than my original one. So I'm gonna put the copy there I got for free there, and my original copy there. Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Kong Quest. Now the great thing about having this is that the copy I owned for many years was a Majesco re-release, which I don't really like those. You know, and you can tell, because for one thing it says made in Mexico on the back and the plastic's slightly different. Fuck the Majesco re-release, fuck that. So it's great to actually have the, you know, like first print version. I mean, not that the Majesco one is a bootleg or anything, but obviously the first print is a lot better. I also had Killer Instinct on Super Nintendo as a duplicate, but I traded that in along with a few N64 duplicates that I'll talk about in a minute. Now on to not duplicates. Great to have this, Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, which, you know, this is really a great game. Sure, it's might be the weakest in the Donkey Kong Country trilogy, but as a game of itself, it's great. It excels, you know, fine in many areas. You know, the music, sure, is not as memorable as the other two, but I've grown to appreciate it a little more, you know, finally playing through it again. Or finally playing through the Super Nintendo version, at least. I played through the Game Boy Advance version, which, of course, is different music and an exclusive world. But yeah, I'd love to talk about it more, but we've got other games to talk about. Like Super Mario All-Stars, which you might have seen in my Anime North pickups. I actually got a box. I actually got it in the box. Put a little box protector, nice. There's no manual, unfortunately, but still, really cool. I'm really happy that out of all the games, you know, here, this one, I was able to get the box for. I did, you know, at one point, marathon Mario 1, 2, and 3 in one sitting. Lost levels, I did all 52 levels of the game, but that was a separate thing. Really cool to have, you know, if anything, it was more so just so I could say I finally have a semi-viable way of playing Lost Levels. I'd love to, at one point, own a Famicom disk system and play the game that way, but, you know, one step at another. But, of course, a cool little pack, cool compilation, you know. Really, this was something special back in the day. And, you know, not quite as special when they just simply rehashed and re-released this in 2010 on the Wii. Tetris Attack. Well, it's, of course, as you know, Panel de Pon, or Pokemon Puzzle League. Well, it, of course, with Yoshi themes and characters and whatnot, so in many ways, yes, it is a Mario game. It hasn't quite captivated me or got me addicted like Pokemon Puzzle League did many years ago, but you know what? We'll be getting there because, hey, Pokemon Puzzle League is great, and this is essentially that, just with Yoshi, so, you know what, definitely gonna see if we can get addicted to this the same way before. So, Super Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Street Fighter 2 Turbo, it's fast. That's what it's got going for it. It's also, this one was also on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, so maybe there's something really special about Street Fighter 2 Turbo that got it on there. And Super Street Fighter 2, which is probably the better version of Street Fighter 2, is on the console. And, of course, hey, Street Fighter 2, of course, fucking everywhere. The game's everywhere. And compared to the first one, not so much. And, hey, it's always nice to have more versions of a game I should have probably played more. Though I feel like there's something more attracting and better and worthwhile overall with Super Street Fighter 2 compared to Street Fighter 2 Turbo with, the time I've spent with these games. Here we have Samurai Showdown, which is a really good game. I never played Samurai Showdown before, and I like to think that this is actually a pretty good version of Samurai Showdown, Played it a decent amount with Jason. It was fun. Definitely want to play it some more, Here's a really cool one, and just a big one to have overall. Evo, Search for Eden. Yes, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this game. This is one of the rarest Super Nintendo games, easily. Like, sure, there are games like Earthbound, Chrono Trigger, and Final Fantasy VI/Final Fantasy III that are, less common and are just really in-demand games, but this is easily rarer than all three of those. Though, in all honesty, I would have probably rather had those compared to this, but again, this is all free, not complaining, I'm just saying, because I'll say this much about Evo, Search for Eden. I don't really care for this game, I never really got into it, I never could really understand it, and I wanted to give it a fair shot, and maybe I'll give it a little more shot, especially just because it's a very special, rare, cool thing to have. It just, I don't know, it's not quite gripping me, I'm sure you know what this game's about. I'm not going to spend too much time explaining it, but from my time spending on it, just kind of not really enjoying it, caring for it, basically. Mortal Kombat 3, it's unfortunately got the stupid Blockbuster sticker on it. I played this so, little compared to the other fighting games on the Super Nintendo I showed you, but hey, you know what, I wish I could tell you if this is, a good version of Mortal Kombat 3 or a good game overall. I don't know, I mean, there's worse games, it's playable, I guess, so, yeah. The next three games here are Majesco re-releases. You can tell by their cheaper look and the fact that they say assembled in Mexico. I'll start off with this. This is Pitfall the Mayan Adventure. I haven't played this or tested this yet just because I'm actually sort of afraid to. Just because I remember when I first saw the cartridge, there was I don't want to say it was a cobweb because I don't think that was it, but there's some weird, material in the pins and stuff. I've since removed it, but I have not dared to actually put this in my Super Nintendo yet, so yeah, that's all I can say about it. Top Gear, again, stupid Majesco re-release, but it's 16-bit racer. It's always kind of neat to toy around with those, got a time limit and all that. It was kind of cool, yeah. And MTV's Beavis and Butthead, a platformer of sorts. It seemed kind of mildly amusing, but I don't know if I'll revisit it anytime soon. How long is this? 9 minutes? Okay, well, what do you say we talk about Nintendo 64 games? I'll start off with duplicates. We have Mario Party 3, which this copy is in miles better shape than my copy of Mario Party 3. And it's just really cool to have, because Mario Party 3, especially the North American version, is gotten really expensive. I mean, granted, all the Mario parties have gotten expensive, but this one, man, holy shit. I've been always really wanting to revisit Mario Party 3 and just play it some more with 4 people, and just Mario Party in general, but, it just doesn't happen. But, of course Mario Party 3 is a great game and whatnot, and hey, it's cool to have a label upgrade. Mario Tennis, which, might be in slightly better shape than my copy, I don't know, but, there it is. Diddy Kong Racing, again, maybe slightly better shape than mine. I looked, really not much of a difference, but hey, at least I was able to sacrifice one of the back of this game for, to swap, because as you can see, this says Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero, and it was originally on Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero, but now Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero's back doesn't have writing on it, but this one does, yeah. There were some duplicates of N64 games that I already traded off at Anime North to help pay for Kendo Rage on the Super Nintendo, but the N64 games, those were Mario Golf, Paper Mario, 1080 Snowboarding, Kobe Bryant and NBA Courtside, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Anyways, let's talk about the N64 games here. I'm going to start off big and, not save the best for last or any stupid shit like that. Here it is. Here's the big one. Check this shit out. Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. A game that, while... Okay, I'm sure you've heard of this. I'm probably talked about it there and now. But this is a fine example of a game that's been overhyped to shit. How a game that used to be $200 is now going for $500 fucking dollars. Because everyone and their mother will tell you about how rare this game is for it being a Blockbuster exclusive. But really, it's like, you want a much rarer, you want an example of a truly, like, God tier level rare Blockbuster exclusive game? Fucking Final Fight Guy on the Super Nintendo. And it's annoying because no other Nintendo 64 game goes for like $500. Not even Bangai-O or anything like that goes for, again, as much money as this does. And it's been overhyped to shit. Sure, the manual is definitely a very hard item to find and whatnot, and so is the box. And yes, this is a rare game, but it's not a $500 fucking rare game. Like, Evo, which I mentioned earlier, doesn't even go for that much. Anyways, I'm gonna keep this rant short. As for the game itself, I've played it many times, and all the times I played with it is just attempting to find a character I can sort of get into with the fighting action. Well, and as you know, this is a slightly updated version of the already existing Clay Fighter 63 1/3, and it's not a very good game. It really isn't. I don't give a shit or find any interest in its humor or style. I mean, sure, the claymation's kind of nice, but the backgrounds are way too freaking dark. And the fighting action, blech. It's just blech. Though it's definitely a much better game than Duel Heroes, another fighting game on the N64. I don't know, I tried playing it. I do want to play it more just because it's, of course, a very cool thing to have and see, and it makes my journey of collecting all 388 Nintendo 64 games that much easier, but, whatever. Nice to get at least the most expensive N64 game off the list. Now let's get fucking 276 more games. Yeah. Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest. It's baseball. I'm sure this is actually a really good game. It definitely seems like it has some very good production values and things going for it that would generally make a baseball fan satisfied. As for me, I got a kick out of it. Also, I believe this is an expansion pack compatible game, as Ken Griffey Jr. himself played this game. Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. It's a first-person shooter, and, this is, I guess, a slightly more beloved game on the console, especially when it comes to third-party games for the system. I can't get into it. I really can't, especially in the first level's case, Didn't know where the hell to go, didn't know what the hell to do. I try to keep an open mind when playing games nowadays and whatnot, but this is not quite ringing a bell with me. Kobe Bryant, NBA Courtside 2 featuring Kobe Bryant, the sequel to NBA Courtside featuring Kobe Bryant and NBA Courtside, the sequel to that. It's, actually a really good game. Some people might say this is actually the best basketball game on the system, and I can see that. There's definitely a very good sort of, again, just good production values overall. Like I said with Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, good production values overall, and enough things to make a sports fan satisfied. And I guess this overall generally improves over the sequel. or the previous one. So yeah, cool game for sure. Actually, might be worth your time. A Bug's Life, which is horribly molested by Blockbuster stickers and whatnot. I played a little bit of it, you know. Plays Flick the Ant, and you know, you throw apples and shit. Yeah, look at that. Look at that fucking label. I probably could sit down and play this or beat this at some point. It doesn't seem like it's too hard of a game, you know, and it's a 3D platformer, you know. I always welcome those generally. Though this doesn't seem like it, of course, quite has the same magic as, you know, Disney games at the time did. Though at the same time, not a complete hindrance either. It's cool that it got an N64 version, even if the N64 version could have been better. They could have optimized it for the console better. Beetle Adventure Racing. This is, of course, a game that's generally talked about in N64 Hidden Gems and just said to be a cool game overall with a wacky concept, driving some fucking Volkswagen Beetles and shit. And yes, it is a really cool game. You know, the courses are very long and, you know, neatly designed. There's lots of hidden paths and whatnot to see. They don't really give you much from the start. They only give you like 2 courses, and I'm going to be honest, I've probably raced those 2 courses twice, and that's the extent I've played of this game. I haven't bothered to unlock more of it, but a good first impression overall, and just generally a good game, and one of the coolest races on the N64. Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero. Yeah, I played this. I haven't had the same amount of frustration as I have with a lot of other people, though I imagine a lot of the complaints towards this game are, of course, warranted. It's very unpolished and crude and whatnot with the things it does. Yeah. South Park Rally. I'm not a fan of South Park. It's one of those franchises that not only have I never seen an episode of it or really done anything with it, but it's like something I know I would not get into or even give the slightest fuck about. Like, it's just, I couldn't care less about South Park. I really couldn't. As for the game itself, well, it's a different sort of racer, as you may know, where you have to cross checkpoints rather than laps. Yeah. Didn't play much of this. Speaking of games I didn't play much of, WWF Warzone. I kind of like played this for like maybe half an hour. I'm surprised I played it for that long, you know. I'm not into wrestling, especially wrestling games, you know. They might make for a fun watch us play though. But you know what? Hey, I think I played more of this than I did this one right here, WWF Attitude. I couldn't tell you the difference between these two, nor could I tell you much of anything else other than played it, you know. Dwayne Johnson's on the cover art of this, so that's cool. Yeah, you know, played it, whatever, did a thing. Oh my goodness. Wow, we're really 18 minutes in, huh? Let's see. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour on the GameCube. It's, of course, I already own this game, but of course the one I had was a Player's Choice copy, so you know what, it's nice to actually have a non-Player's Choice copy. And you know what, this game is of course really fucking fantastic. I should play it some more, you know, alongside with Hot Shots Golf on the Hot Shots Golf 3 and Hot Shots Golf 4 on the PS2. I got the box for Mario Party 6. I actually got the game free from him like years ago, and well, here's the box. You know, came with the microphone and stuff. Well, it didn't come with the microphone, I already have it, but you know, of course, it just, this was the packaging it came with to get the bundle with the microphone, so, yeah. Wii games, 2 of them, Heat Seeker, combat, flight, sim stuff, it was actually pretty decent. The motion controls seemed like they worked fine enough, it didn't hinder it too much, so, yeah, that's kind of cool. And this was this is a Trauma Center Second Opinion. This was actually sealed with a Future Shop price sticker of $60. Game doesn't go for nearly that much nowadays. The whole Trauma Center series, you know, you do surgery and stuff. It seemed simple enough from when I first got into it and played it, but this is not my kind of game. I wouldn't actually get too invested in this, so yeah. It looks like I forgot a Super Nintendo game. This is International Tennis Tour. It's, yeah, kind of awkward of a tennis game. But it's better than Top Player's Tennis on the NES, and maybe it's even better than Let's Smash on the Nintendo 64. It's by Taito, so I think that's kind of cool. And you know what? Hey, it's a Super Nintendo game that starts with I. I don't think I have any other Super Nintendo games that start with I. But yeah, not a great tennis game. Here's some DS games. Tiger Woods PGA Tour. It's got an interesting sort of mechanic with the stylus and whatnot. I was able to get into it a little more than I thought I did, though of course not quite as much as other golf games, but an interesting specimen and something kind of neat to have in my DS collection. We have Spider-Man 2, also on the DS. Yeah. 3-night new release game rental. Previously enjoyed $9.99. I don't know how good of a version this is. Of course, everyone and their mother, and rightfully so, loves, Spider-Man 2 on PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. And I'm sure this is a fine enough conversion. It's probably an interesting sort of thing. I sort of played it. Definitely not shovelware shit to have, and something worth your time, possibly. Maybe we'll do a Watch Us Planet. Anyways, I got some manuals here. So, here's a Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. This is not a manual, but it's a, let me open it up here. It's like a controller guide for 1080 snowboarding. Yeah, and it also tells you, like, tricks and how many points you get for them. Interesting. Street Fighter 2 Turbo manual. Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest. Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside. Mario Tennis. Diddy Kong Racing. Mario Kart 64, which I did not end up getting or finding in this stack of free games that I got, but yeah. Oh, Mario Golf. Mario Party, again, something I didn't actually find or see. And South Park Rally, which it advertises South Park Love Shack, and it says look for South Park Love Shack, so that's how you know it's not a South Park Love Shack manual. That, and also from its positioning and whatnot. Alright, now we focus on the non-Nintendo items that I got for free, except for this one that I forgot to talk about. This is Game & Watch Gallery 4 on the Game Boy Advance. I've already owned this game, I think since 2011, maybe 2012, somewhere around there. And, well, considering my copy has way the fuck more stuff unlocked, this is the one I'll be trading off at some point. Anyways, now, off to non-Nintendo stuff. We'll start off with the Microsoft side of things. Here we have Major League Baseball 2K7 on the original Xbox. This does not work with the 360. It is just one of many, many games on the original Xbox that just, isn't compatible with the console, but, yeah, look at that cover art. I don't know. Then we have Rally Sport Challenge. It's a rally racing game. I played it once. It was alright. I guess it's always kind of cool to get, different kinds of racing games. In this case, again, it's a rally racing game. Get a grip, it says. Can you see it? Why do I always, put the case towards close to the camera? I don't know. Now for Xbox 360 stuff. Here we have Halo 4. Now, when we got Halo 4, the thing is, the game didn't work, so we had to buy another copy, which I just did, right here. Though my brother said he would actually pay for this. So, yeah, even though I went to the store to get it, he went ahead and paid for it. Well, the thing is, as some may know or guessed, I'm not into Halo. I'm not a Halo guy. The thing is, even having said that, it's still a good thing to own. It's still a nice thing to own, something to mess around with for a little bit. Maybe have a friend over, they might get a kick out of the game. Maybe I might toy around with it some bit, and toy around enough with it to make it just a a worthwhile purchase and a worthwhile thing though, even if I wouldn't go completely out of my way to get one, except for in this case where I had to, because again, the free copy we had right here, didn't work, basically. So, yeah. Grand Theft Auto 5. Oh my, this is something to have. I remember, of course, a lot of GTA 4, because that was the one I played a lot. I played a lot on PS3, then I finally got a copy in 2014 for the Xbox 360, and now here we are with Grand Theft Auto 5. I can say, like, with Grand Theft Auto 4, really any of the other Grand Theft Auto games, that pretty much, all my time spent with this is just going to be exploring the city, doing all kinds of shit. I mean, hey, isn't that everyone's time with this, but even so, I have never really gotten to invest in this. But of course, a good thing to have, even if I'm not currently in the mood for roaming around and stuff in Grand Theft Auto. Even if this is, of course, a very big game, it's still, I believe they're still supporting this in many ways, like maybe adding new content, giving all the more reason why, or who knows if Grand Theft Auto 6 will happen anytime soon. I don't know, I could be just, spewing out bullshit. Project Gotham Racing 3. Again, another good thing to have. It's of course a more serious, sort of racing game simulation kind of stuff, but a good one at that, and a good one to have, and a good one to toy around with, and something fun to do. Definitely got to take these stickers off. That's not good. I'm gonna do that right after I'm done with this video. And Connect Sports Season 2. This was actually sealed, but, I unsealed it. And I played it. I played all the sports and whatnot. I'll say this much. I thought it was alright. I thought it was playable. There's definitely worse Connect games out there. Like Connectimals, Star Wars Connect, and I'm sure Dragon Ball Z Connect is terrible. But this was tolerable. I got a kick out of it, though I don't see any real reason to play through it again anytime soon. Though I think if I were to revisit this, I'd probably actually revisit golf. I think golf was actually probably the one I cared the most about. But, darts I probably did the best. And I'm almost inclined enough to soon get Connect Sports, the first one. Okay. Alright, now we have the Sony side of things. This is the Flintstones Bedrock Bowling on the PS1. The thing is, I actually should have and could have actually got this game back in August of 2015 when from the same person. I know I mentioned this before earlier in the video, but I'll say it again anyways. When from the same person, I got a whole bunch of free PS1 and Dreamcast games. This could have been one of the PS1 games, I'm not sure why it wasn't. He didn't say anything like saying, oh, no, I want this still. No, he didn't say anything like that. But yeah, it's bowling, but it's actually a very different bowling game. It's not a standard bowling alley with your 10 pins set up and whatnot. No, you go down a tube, you go down like a tube track, and, you're swinging around in like your, rock bowl or something, and you have to hit the pins placed on the tube, and you avoid obstacles and like the conveyor belts and I think some like pits or just all kinds of hindrances. It's an interesting sort of game, and it was kind of cool to mess around with the 2 times I played it. Though I don't see myself ever going back to this, or even bother getting another friend to play this. I just kind of don't know what much else I'll be doing with this game. Not much, but it's different. We Heart Katamari for the PS2. I guess we heart Katamari. We love Katamari. This is definitely something, I would like to sit down and play and beat, because I did beat Katamari Damacy on the PS2 back in, like, April or May of 2016, and the little time I spent with this really gave me that, it was fun, actually. It really reminded me of the great time I had with the first Katamari Damacy, even if I'm not quite prepared to sit down and play through this at the moment. It's definitely, cool to have, for sure. Genji, Dawn of the Samurai. again, it's another kind of cool game. Another game I'd like to actually sit down and invest some more time in, and I enjoyed it, though I'm fearing that potentially the bosses in this game could be a real nuisance and really bring the game down quite a bit. But that's just a fear, again, from what little I've played. Though it does actually seem, again, a fun, game, slashing enemies, moving to the next area, just basic but good, understandable stuff is what it seems so far. So, yeah. Guitar Hero 2, it's just the game, none of the accessories. I would never go out of my way to actually get, like, Guitar Hero or Band Hero or any of those, accessories and whatnot. I mean, I'm sure I kind of do already with the DK Bongos and the Dance Dance Revolution, Mario Mix dance pad, but I wouldn't bother getting the guitar or anything like that, or Rock Band with the drums. It might be cool to actually play over at a friend's house, because sure, of course, the Guitar Hero craze and whatnot has died and whatnot, but I never really got too much into it, though it would be kind of neat to do it at some point, though, again, at a friend's house. I'd never invest the time or money into it. I played this once, because you can play this with the controller, but, yeah. Okay. Here's one PSP game. This is Practical Intelligence Quotient 2. It's a puzzle game, with your block. It's essentially a block kind of puzzle game. You pick up blocks, move blocks that activate switches, or blocks with lasers that reflect and, therefore the reflection does something, or you get some sort of elevation. It's that kind of thing. Although this game has a lot more of a emphasis on testing, your IQ and whatnot, and how it goes through like a whole system of recording your IQ daily and stuff, and the progress and all that. I could probably play more of this, because I got a kick out of it. But I could probably play this without giving a fuck about any of that IQ, checking nonsense. But, it's cool. Not a bad thing to have at all by any means. Nice. Here's some PS3 games. Here's one duplicate. Heavenly Sword. I still haven't played much of this ever since I first got this back in, jeez, what was it? What did I get this this year or last year? I don't remember. But yeah, it's a cool game, definitely one of the first highlights of the PS3, Yeah. Oh man, this Street Fighter 4, God, I wish I played more of this. Especially, even played once with friends or something. Oh man. The thing is about any of the Street Fighter games is I wish I could tell you something about them more than, I got a kick out of them, or, oh, I enjoyed it, this and that. I really wish I could tell you more about them, view it from its fighting mechanics and compare, each and every single version of Street Fighter 2 to another or something. I really wish I could, but I can't. I don't have that knowledge of me. But, yeah, of course, it's still cool to have, it's getting there. Just need to get away from playing Street Fighter 5 or Street Fighter 1, which is on Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2, and then I need to get Street Fighter 5, and then I have some sort of iteration of the 5 Street Fighters, though of course a lot more Street Fighter games, but you get my point. Of course, a lot more Street Fighter games, but you get my point. I think that might have been hard to understand. I don't know. Time Crisis 4. This is, I'm sure as you know, it's a light gun, game, most notably for, I guess, being in the arcades. You don't need a light gun to play this. I mean, I don't know how that would work, because obviously you'd be playing this on a modern TV where light guns of sorts don't work, unless there is a gun that's just, very different technology than a video game gun peripherals that before. This is really good. It's my first Time Crisis game, and, hey, just adds further proof to the fact that I really enjoy a lot of the stuff Namco makes. And this was definitely good. Even with the controller, it was actually pretty fun. You're still going around, quickly taking out the bad guys, reloading, hiding behind the corners and whatnot. it's great stuff, and I've never really gotten into, a light gun sort of game like this ever, really. Just, kind of played it at, like, arcades and whatnot, what little arcades I have been to. And it's great to actually have one, here. Maybe I'll play this after the video. No, there's other games I have to play. There's other games I have to play after this. Here's one that's really interesting. Eternal Sonata. Now, I played through, the Xbox 360 version around late 2014, and I thought it was great, And in some ways, the game is still very reminiscent to me for how fucking incredible its combat was, especially for turn-based combat. It never felt cheap or, you were getting fucked over, unfairly, and there was nothing you could do about it. It was a brilliant combat system. And when I first talked about Eternal Sonata on a Gaming Pickups, I didn't say much. All I remember saying was how I liked, Allegretto and Frederick's attacks, how one of them I liked, this and that. I didn't say much about it. The PS3 version is honestly kind of really the better version of Eternal Sonata. There are just, some things about it, like a few added story cutscenes, some slightly changed, well, one major slightly changed plot, which is where the main villain of this game, Count Waltz, in the Xbox 360 version, you meet him once for the first time, like the party meets him once, and then the second that they meet him, he's done for, which is a very anticlimactic, thing, really, and honestly kind of shit storytelling, especially in terms of an RPG. But in this, not that it's much better, he lives on to see another fight and a actual confrontation with the party, which is very good, too. And also, now, there's two more characters added, which are, Serenade and Crescendo. Prince, what was it? Prince Crescendo and Princess Serenade, I believe. Yeah, they're now added to this as playable characters. Before they were just kind of, there. And I believe also one of the characters in this game that dies, her name is Claves. She now comes back at some point to life and rejoins the party, so yeah. But overall, this is just really the better version, though I still feel that Eternal Sonata was hindered in many ways for the fact that it was too short. And I'm not saying it had to be an 80-hour adventure or even a 60-hour adventure. I just think the story and game could have been a lot more fleshed out for the better if it was at least 40 hours. But in any case, yeah, I'm not terribly ready to actually sit down and play through this game, this version of the game, but, great thing to have for sure. Okay. Alright, here's one that's actually very interesting. Tales of Exilia on the PS3. Out of all the Tales of games on the PS3, this and Exilia 2 are the only ones that were made specifically for the PS3. Man, I wish I could tell you a lot about this game. I wish I could just sit down for the next, 7 minutes and give you a whole, review of this game, what I think about its characters, its plot, its combat system, its music, its story. But I can't. I've put about 5 hours into this game, and I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to tackle the whole journey. I've gotten a decent first impression of it so far, but again, to sit down and actually tackle the whole game, I'm not sure if I'm quite ready for it. We'll slowly ease back into it soon. This actually came in the limited edition, which I can tell you, this limited edition package is not as uncommon as you might think. In fact, I think the collector's edition is objectively the more sought after fucking thing. But yeah, this fucking limited edition, it comes with, of course, the game, a music CD, some DLC shit, so you can make freaking Jude look like the protagonist from Tales of Phantasia. It comes with an art book, the music CD, and this is actually still sealed. So yeah, I'll probably get back to it soon. It's just I'm not quite ready for it yet, but we'll get there. It's a lot easier to possibly tackle down now that, I finished Tales of Berseria almost a month ago. So yeah, yeah. Gran Turismo 5. Similar to some of these other games, while it's not something I'm terribly into, it's still something cool to have, because there are things that, you know, I'm not into and I wouldn't want anything to do with, but this one I could possibly do a thing or two with it. And from the time I spent with this, I noticed that at least the 2 tracks I raced, I'm sure they're from frickin' Gran Turismo 3. Maybe it's just some, like, fucking crazy situation of events where those were the only courses I picked before I kind of put the game down and, you know, played some other things. But yeah, you know, like, what can you say? Simulation Racer looks great. I'm sure it plays really well and pleases, you know, the fans of this type of genre just to the best of its, you know, capabilities. And then maybe Gran Turismo 6 toppled it. I don't know. Okay, and the last game I got here is Killzone Shadowfall for the PS4. Something I probably almost would have bought just for the hell of it, just as something to screw around with. I believe this was a launch title, or it was definitely a year 1 PS4 title. I'm not sure if it was a launch title. But, you know, it starts off with, you know, you playing as this kid and he's following around his dad, which, I mean, I'm sure is fine. I'm sure it doesn't overstay its welcome, but I didn't really get anything beyond that, though I will soon. But, you know what, again, just something cool and fun to mess around with, and had I bought it, I would have been okay too, because it's like a $10 game, but free made it even better. And now I'll show you guys all the free hardware that I got, including a boxed Dreamcast keyboard, which, as you can see, it's in the 2000, 2001, and even 2002 styled packaging, you know, with the light over the horizon and the blackness background and the blue aurora. And yeah, guess what? Now I have 3 Dreamcast keyboards, and yet I only have 3 ways of using it. The web browser, Typing of the Dead, and to some extent Choo Choo Rocket. I can prove to you there's actually a keyboard in this box one right here. See, there's a keyboard still in its bag. And as for this keyboard, hold on one second, I need to get it up there open for you. In case of this keyboard, it's kind of dirty, and that's very not good. I'll have to do something about that. I'm sorry you had to see that. But anyways, next up I got a GameCube here, a black GameCube. It works, you know. It's got the component port on the back, all 3 things at the bottom. Still gonna use my silver GameCube, but of course it's nice to have a backup GameCube. Here's a PS1, which of course I already have a PS1, but this one is a slightly newer model because it doesn't have the parallel port on the back. Works great and all. Even came with a controller, which is nice because I don't actually have a PS1 controller. But as you can see, the joystick is kind of fucked in that regard. But it works fine, so that's good. But goddamn, that's definitely something that's not pretty to look at. And inside the PS1 is a copy of Gran Turismo that was also free. It was just laying in the PS1. I'm not sure the whereabouts of the case or anything like that, but the disc's there, and if I can say anything about the first one, it feels like in its arcade mode compared to its simulation mode, and just really compared to the rest of the series in general, it feels like it's probably the most arcadey one out of the whole series. Though I don't know, because I haven't played every game in the series, so just take my word, just take that with a grain of salt. Okay, here's a Nintendo 64. It's the regular gray colored one, which is now the one I use, because the one I'd been using for many years was the see-through jungle green one from the Fantastic series, because this is now finally here. You know, I cut the tabs and everything. This is now the Nintendo 64 that I'll be using. The green one is now retired, and to make it even better, it comes with the expansion pack. So not only did I get a free N64 of the color I wanted, but even with the frickin' expansion pack, so that's awesome. Here's the controllers it came with, you know, a gray and a black one. Both have actually really good joysticks. I have a fucking unofficial memory card in there, my unofficial memory card. I also got this with it too. This is the Super Memory Card 4000. Would have been nice to actually have an official controller pack, but whatever. There's a Super Nintendo, horribly yellowed Super Nintendo. I haven't tested it, unfortunately, mainly because the power port right there, if you can see it, it's non-existent. It looks like it's, you know, frayed or something. I don't know what's up with that, but because of that, I don't actually want to test anything. So yeah, came with these two controllers. They both work fine, you know. No L&R markings on the L&R buttons. Well, same with this one. This one just says Nintendo on it, and on the back it says Super Famicom Nintendo, which I guess this would be from the Super Nintendo, you know, Model 2. But did Super Nintendo Model 2 controllers say Super Famicom controller on them? I don't know. Wii Nunchuck, great, because now I have 4 nunchucks. I had 4 Wii remotes, but not 4 nunchucks. NES controller, surprisingly, I didn't find anything else NES related, or get anything NES related with all this free stuff, I should say. Except for this, the D-pad is very stiff and awkward and old and used. The buttons are fine, I could get used to them. And a wireless Xbox 360 controller, which, you know, hey, now I have 4 360 controllers. Awesome. Anyways, that's it. Goddamn, you know, just a whole bunch of free stuff that I'm finally glad I was able to get around to talking to. Oh boy. This is, gonna be quite a long video, but hey, something special for the 60th episode of this fucking series. So yeah.